Buddy, welcome everybody to we're heading into 2025, Camille. I don't know if we'll do one next week, we'll kind of play it by ear, but
Yeah,
thought we
let's see.
could yeah, and I thought we could just chat about all the stuff. I mean, if we think about January 2024 and where we were, right? And I think back then, but correct me if I'm wrong, because kind of this whole pandemic timelines and now with AI timelines seem to squish. But it seemed like at our think tanks, it was a new product every week, and each category was the better one. I feel like
Right.
that's chilled out a little bit. We kind of know what to use for what. Maybe there's a range of two or three options.
Yeah.
Um, but just dependable, great things, right? What have you been thinking about, or have you thought back throughout the year?
I mean, yeah, like you said, it seems like every new wave that we go through is faster and accelerating. First we had crypto and NFTs and then all the other stuff, and now AI is going definitely crazy. So it's hard to stay on topic of everything. That's why it's always good to pick a niche and kind of keep an eye on that ball. So yeah, there's all kinds of things. What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about what was your favorite? A couple of your favorite AI solutions this year that stick out of the top of your mind. What do you got?
Yeah,
I
look,
can already say one that I know you will say. Oh yeah, there you go. You got the shirt on.
right.
We got
This
an
new hoodie.
ambassador here.
Yeah, Gamma's great. I mean, oh my goodness. And just seeing the switch, because remember we had like been using that, and then there was like beautiful.ai. We're creating some other presentations. It seemed like just like we had one of our think tanks, then the next week it was just night and day how great it was. And
Yeah.
then, so I use it just the presentation piece, but what I'm excited to dig in with this one for 2025 is going down kind of the website creator, social media posts you can make with it. That's some of the new innovations coming, some not so new. Because I went on the user call or went on one of the ambassador calls, and then no one talked about presentations. I'm like, oh my goodness, I must be missing out. So that's
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
so that's one. And then I think moving to Claude more at your recommendation, when projects came out and you really dove into that.
Yeah.
Now it's almost like ChatGPT. I use it for certain things, but it's just kind of like my messy room. But then I've got like my office, with Claude and the file structures and
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
And then I mean ChatGPT finally released their projects feature, which hopefully will help getting a little bit of order into the chaos. I started using it, and yeah, ChatGPT is good when it comes to certain types of workflows because it's always there with the apps on the phone. The mobile app is great. The desktop app is great. So that's definitely where I use ChatGPT a lot. Also, O1 reasoning is pretty good. I like that they have file upload now, and I like generally when they started, having access to the internet. So those are the pro points. But when it comes to pure productivity and actually things that made me money this year, I mean, Claude is absolutely the powerhouse for me when it comes to writing, especially. Second, I would have said Perplexity, and Perplexity is getting a little bit of competition now, but it's still I love that they're not holding back and they're moving forward. I think they just acquired a company, right? Did you share that?
yes,
They
yeah,
acquired Carbon.
I shared that carbon exactly. Right. And I
Yeah.
think showing that security is a big thing and file protection, right? And I think
Hmm.
and I shared that video you haven't watched yet, just about it was during SF Tech Week. And a lot of the VCs in the space were just talking about kind of at the enterprise level. Yes, there was a lot of excitement. Everybody felt they had to jump in. Now things have cooled out a little bit and they're more picking their spots.
Mm.
But I think security will be top of mind for
Yeah.
enterprises, as it should be for us users too. But sometimes we don't think about that until something
Yeah.
happens.
Thinking what other things I played around with. I played around like things that were really fun this year. Definitely for me was music, probably number one.
Yeah.
very closely followed by local image generation with Flux. So I had a
Yes.
blast with that. With Comfy UI on the Windows machine works really well. I actually just trained a LoRa model for Flux for the image generation on the Mickey Mouse character from 1928
Oh, wow.
from Steamboat Willie because it's now in the what do you
Open,
call it? Public
open,
domain, right?
public domain, right, right.
Yeah, so I tried generating a couple of images. It needs some tweaking, but it's definitely interesting to see what you can do with that.
I'm excited to see that. And I think Notebook LM, right? We can't forget about that. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, that was pretty
I
good.
using it to manage things. When the podcast piece came out, that was phenomenal. And now you can add yourself into the podcast, which I really haven't dug into
I
yet.
haven't done that yet. Yeah, I need to see how that works, but I'm curious to see. It was yeah, that it's more like I think it's great and it's actually really great at what it's supposed to be, right? It's not most people are using it as an actual podcast. I don't think that's the best use. For me, the best use case for this is really to hear the content that you want to learn, for example, from a different perspective. What it really helped me with is when I was working on a presentation and I created a presentation, I came up with some speaker notes. I uploaded the whole stuff into a notebook and then I had them talk about it in that podcast. And that gave me like a different way of learning about the topic, being more comfortable with speaking about certain things. Sometimes even anticipating the questions because they come up with questions on the fly, right, about the topic. So it's a very interesting way to re-engage with certain type of content. And for me, the learning aspect is really helpful there. Another
Totally.
one also in a similar direction is 11 Labs. Also a huge, like a really good tool for me. I use it every single week with my clients when I write newsletters. I actually have them narrated in the voice of the author, not me, but my client in that case. And when I say narrate, I'm not actually having them read it word by word. It's kind of like a friend telling about another friend about the newsletter. And that gives it another dimension as well for people if they just want to listen and see if they actually want to read the newsletter for more detail and more info inside, right? So 11
Totally.
Labs for sure.
No, yeah, that's amazing. And just, what I think with the Notebook LM, because I feel like we've been blowing through these tools, right? Like
Yeah.
Sona and Udemy, it's kind of like, okay, great, that was for a week, and then we're on to something else. But now all the people outside of kind of the AI bubble we've been living in are starting to discover these, and it's
Yeah.
blowing their minds. I do want to kind of think back after we do this and just think, okay, what should we kind of focus on? But what I've been but even too, like getting creative with Notebook LM and creating it. I did kind of had them do like an evaluation of a Microsoft and Witty partnership, right? So I think just thinking outside the box and getting creative, and then, with a client you might be talking to, do a
Right.
podcast about them. It's kind of
Yeah.
mine they like.
Oh, for sure. No, there's a lot of use cases for me again. It's really helpful to see certain type of content from a different perspective. That another example is I just talked about this yesterday. I had a client where he wants to increase marketing for his company, and at the same time he wants to build a personal brand that connects him to that company in public. So I basically ran a search about him, his past, his roadmap, and then the company. Just copied everything from the company, and I put it together. Added a couple of prompts to the mix, and essentially wanted to create a vision for him in his mind, how people might talk about him once his personal brand is out there. Right. And I think that was a really cool example because it gave him kind of like an idea of what's possible and was
Yeah,
very well received.
totally. No, I think yeah, it's good, right? And again, I think for somebody like that, and do they want to learn everything? They just want kind of the map of what to do. So I think
Hmm.
as we move forward and what we're going to be doing at 9 a.m. every morning Eastern instead of the other thing. Just kidding.
Yeah.
well, right, but I think just setting that up, right? I mean, if you think about some of the PR, PR firms, many of them are charged, people go on retainers to like get Camille, like the brand you can build for people
Right.
much more intentionally, much more data driven, state of the art tools. I mean, it's just incredible just how quickly you can do things. And even my dentist who watched our show, I am at the dentist,
Hmm.
you guys like, wait, it's way too high level, but it's really getting down. How would he use it? How does he use it to maybe manage appointments or even like you said, right? It's like, look at my teeth. I didn't even run that through Chat GPT before I got here.
Right.
Just remembering to do, remembering to use it. That's probably been, I don't want to say if it's a challenge, but just something more I'm trying to retrain myself for
Yeah.
every situation.
Right. No, 100%. And I could name 100 ways of how he can start using AI already. Even I'm sure you might have seen that CT scan recently that was on where Google Studio, I believe, the part where it can see your screen. Remember, do you know what that's called? I forgot what it's called, but there's this app from Google where it can see your browser essentially, and it can interact with the information on your browser. And they ran
Mm.
it through CT images, and it basically analyzed them and said, okay, well, on this image I see that and that, and it's just like a perfect job. So you could do the same thing for X-rays, right? There's other apps that have the necessary compliance with privacy laws that can actually take your dictation as a doctor or dentist when it comes to patient visits, and then
Yeah,
at the end of it, you have a nicely summarized, summary of everything.
right,
So there's a lot of ways you can really start with a low bar because when you say like booking clients, then you kind of have to, what's your current CRM? Can I plug it in there? Like, what are the tools that are accessible to you right now, and you could frictionless test it without friction? That's probably the best way to look into it.
right. And just personal data, right? Like when I get
Mm,
the report from this dentist and and then or a doctor, and then you're going to a different doctor for something else. How about if you could have all of that and connecting these dots, right?
right.
That's so, well, we can go down all the different verticals and many exciting things, but we'll be here
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure, man. Next year, I'm definitely looking forward to connect. Um, I mean, I want to do more development with AI, get into that. I think video is only gonna get better. Uh, Again, Google kind of washed the floor with OpenAI right now,
yeah.
and yeah, agents is the big thing. But then again, what's an agent? What's not? We'll
Right.
see.
Well, and if you watch when you watch the video, we're going to come out with a whole different view of agents, right?
Right, right,
And
right.
and what are these things? It's automating. One guy was just saying something like, should we even call them agents? Is that too confusing?
I
Even
don't like the word, but yeah.
right. And even when I share AI with people, they're thinking, oh, AI. I
Right.
don't, I'm not a computer scientist, but anyway, it's gonna be a great 2025. We'll do a live from CES show maybe, or definitely
That's
after I
cool.
come back, unless you come out, Camille, still have the ticket for you. I'm sure it'll be
You got a
tough.
couch?
I can maybe get you a room too if you want to come.
Let's
Uh,
talk about it. We'll see.
okay.
Cool,
Okay.
man.
Have a great Christmas
Thank
and
you. Merry
talk
Christmas.
soon. Okay, brother.
Take
Bye.
care.
You too. Bye.
Alrighty.